So my name is Kerri Cahoy. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics here at MIT. I'm also joint in the Earth and Planetary Sciences Department in Planetary Sciences. My interests are planetary atmospheres, which include not only atmospheres in our solar system of the planets that have atmospheres, but also extrasolar planets, planets around other stars, and studying their atmospheres and characterizing the gases in their atmospheres and to determine whether or not life might exist in other solar systems than our own. Originally from Connecticut, so being at MIT is a little bit closer to home for me. Spent 10 years out in California at Stanford and NASA Ames Research Center for my postdoc in graduate school. And I spent some time working with Maria Zuber's team at NASA Goddard before I came here to MIT in Maryland. So my research is in two areas. I study both planetary atmospheres and exoplanet atmospheres. So what I'm really excited about doing here is working on the problem of taking really good pictures of exoplanets. If you take good pictures of exoplanets over a variety of wavelengths, you can figure out what kind of gases are in the planet's atmosphere and whether or not it could harbor life. But to take really good pictures of exoplanets, you have to do a few things. You have to ideally get out of the Earth's atmosphere. So you have to be on a spacecraft platform. You have to have a really good camera and telescope to collect the photons from the system that you're observing. And you have to have instrumentation that blocks the star's light so that you can image the planet in the reflected light from the star, but not the star swamping the signal itself. In order to do those measurements, those optical measurements to get the reflected light of the planet but not of the star, you use an instrument called a coronagraph and some sophisticated optics. One of the challenges in making that measurement is to get the performance of the optics good enough so that you have high enough contrast that you can actually see that reflected planet and block the starlight. Optics aren't manufactured perfectly. They have some errors, and the errors that they have contribute to noise, which makes it harder to see the planet once you block that starlight. And so what I'm interested in doing is using deformable mirrors to help correct the received wavefront of light that we get, and so that the light compensates for the errors in the optics that exist and for some of the other effects of the system, so that you can get as good a picture as you can of this exoplanet. And so you can get that measurement across wavelength and see if there are any absorption features that tell you, oh, this gas is present and this gas isn't present. There might be life here if this gas is present, but not this one. I'm looking forward in the fall to teaching spacecraft engineering coursework with Dave Miller and Sarah Seeger. It's part of a design, build, fly sequence, which is really cool for students because you get to design and build something that will very likely have an opportunity to fly if you do a good enough job at the front end of things and you have a convincing story. It's really fun to work with students, have a real budget, have real science goals, have real reviews, have real deadlines, things that are more fun to work with maybe than trying to get 12 problem sets done and turned in by next Thursday. So I'm really looking forward to that, and being in the lab, some things work, some things don't. Learning is part of the process, so it's an environment where things can fail and you can try again instead of having to take that point hit on a problem set or redo this exam or do extra credit to compensate. You can try to make something work. The other fun part is you also have to work with the real world. You have to be ordering your parts from someone, and you have to know how to do that and what to ask for and how to sort of compress what you need into something that you can communicate to somebody else and have them respond and give you back what you want. And that's a challenge in and of itself that really applies to spacecraft engineering because the requirements are so sometimes very precise, sometimes very modified in certain ways that aren't normal, and you need to make a lot of exceptions and understand them and be able to communicate them. So it's really looking forward to it. The students really get involved, and it's always fun to walk down the hallway and ask somebody if they've lit up this wire yet and melted it, and to see what the maximum current rating is, or put something else on a shake table to see how well it holds up under the vibrations that launch will have, or put something in a freezer and then in an oven right away to simulate being heated by the sun and then going around the backside of the planet where it's in shadow. So all of these tests happen to parts that need to fly in spacecraft, and that this class helps understand testing everything that you want to do so it can survive the environment and perform the way you want it to.